Hey guys, what's happening? So, this is another episode of Fabulous Fridays, and we're going to talk about a few things as a lead on from last week's episode. Uh, Shit was really challenging last week. We had a lot of things going on, sort of both externally and sort of internally, a lot of things too. And this week has been a lot better. This week, been able to sort of hunker into this office, into my little back cave here, and lock in for 3 days solid of grinding out work and building products for my funnel and really diving deep on that. Yeah, look, it's had its challenges, big time. Like, got the opportunity to go up and see our dog is a Staffy cross, PD cross Roddy, and we had the opportunity to go up and see him on Wednesday, and it was our last visit with him, and he was in the cage, basically like on death row with all the other dogs, and we went in and seen him, and we patted him and hugged him, and he was so excited. He just weed everywhere, and yeah, it was really hard, really sad. That was the last time. Like, he wanted to get out of that cage. He was right in the door trying to get out, and but he bit a kid on the face. That was in our yard, so it is what it is. We went and said goodbye, and yeah, then we were driving back. My son and I, he's 15, turning 16, and what happened was we drove past this nature strip, and it looked like just a nice walk, and had all this energy built up, all this sadness, like grieving process happening. And what happened was we ended up doing a U-bolt. I was like, man, I need to go for a walk down that nature strip, that pathway, and we walked down that pathway. Well, I went by myself first. My son stayed in the car, and then I was just down there. I was like, "Oh man, this is so good." Like, energetically, like when I feel heavy, nature is like what makes me feel lighter. So I went down there and I did a few big primal screams, top of my lungs, ah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? Like, it just felt so freaking good. And then I called my son. I was like, "Come for a walk down here," and we went for a walk, and we were just talking and sharing about our dog, and those sorts of things. It was beautiful. And then got home, back to work, that sort of stuff. All right. So, an update. He's passed now. The tree in the backyard is still there. It's still got crows in it. Ricky wants to chop it down. I do not want to chop it down. I love that tree. Like, I'm deeply connected to it. But also, some really exciting stuff that's happening this week is that I'm working on this funnel. And it's an online business that I've got going on, and it's absolutely incredible because it's the way out. Like, I mean, I exchanged my time and labour for so many years, worked underground 80 hours a week, not including travel home and there. And, I've done the hard slog in terms of being an employee, with holiday pay, sick pay, super, and all that stuff, right? And it's good, it's great. But there's no leverage. Like, I mean, time's just getting chewed up in exchange for the money. And then when I was like on my break, I was just like, want to get on the piss and want to escape the larger portion of my life that was not as enjoyable, and that was predominantly my life, and it is for a lot of people. And it's, for me personally, this is my view. Like, I was like, I want out of this, so I did a whole heap of stuff. Fast forward to now, I realized that online business is the way to create true freedom and leverage. The way to, like, spend more time with my family, the way that I can travel the world and make money at the same time. And it's required like a shitload of change in psychology. Like, I mean, you think about it, like, if school was there to help you become healthy and wealthy and free, there would be so many less people driving up the highway each day. There'd be so many less people, struggling financially, but it doesn't teach any of those things, unfortunately. So what's the alternative? Like, it's about being in the energy orbits of people who can stretch your view of the world. And what I mean by that is, it's like hanging around people who can take you further in life, like literally, stretch your view on the world. Like, because you can only show up with, a certain level of experience in your life, but until you like get around somebody else who's got a new level of experience, they can sort of stretch how you perceive things. And a lot of people sort of just go to work and pay bills, have 4 weeks holiday a year, and they're happy with that. Like, power to them if they've settled for that. Like, we need people in jobs. Let's be honest, right? But if you really want true freedom in that, that's when I was like, fuck, I want that. And you know what? Like, psychologically, it's the most challenging thing because the models haven't been built in my head. The models just aren't there because school never taught them, and my parents, they never taught them. Right? They're not entrepreneurs. They're still employees now. And so our online business is we're getting so closer because it's getting harder and harder. And it's about developing the products. It's about developing systems and processes to systemize these things so we can create leverage. And when we, put something out to people, it's like, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to provide a solution to what might actually be going on for you. And if you think about it like that, it's not really sales. It's just solution providing. And the more solutions that you can provide for people, the more impact that you can have. And if you use money as a measuring stick, as a ruler, well, then it gives you direct feedback on the impact that you're currently having on people, right? So if you think about it, how can you actually create generational wealth for you and your family and leave a legacy for your kids and stuff if you're just sort of stuck on that, hourly rate? Like, it's impossible. Like, you can't get ahead. Like, working overtime just means paying more tax. Yeah, you might get some more money, but really, something to consider anyway. Like, there's a really good presentation I put together by a guy named Rob Kiyosaki. He's like the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talks about these money quadrants. And this money quadrant, it's like a circle, and there's 4 different sections. And on the left-hand side, there's what we call an E. So it stands for employee. That's where you exchange your time and your labor for money, right? And there's no leverage. Like, you can't, systemize anything, for example. And then you might have an absolute gutful of that. And then, like, okay, I'm going to become self-employed. So what I'll do is I'll go and, start my own business, basically. But what you don't realise, that's what I did, is that I friggin' become self-employed, opened a gym, and I became a full slave to my business. I had to work so many extra hours that I didn't even realise. Didn't even know what I was getting into, but it was such an epic lesson. So that's what self-employed is. Basically, you're employed by yourself. Right? If you don't show up, you don't get paid, basically. Right? And then there's on the other side of the money quadrant. So that's the left. And on the right-hand side, there's B. It stands for business owner. And business owner means, you have systems, you have people, and you have processes that systemize things that you do so you can have a lot more leverage of your time. Right? So essentially, you don't actually have to physically show up in person in order to make money. And then, last but not least, there's the employer. There's the investor, which stands for I. And the investor is someone that makes money that wants to multiply their money. And they can't multiply their money unless they've got it, right? So what they do is they put their money that they've currently got into various markets, and the markets do the lifting for them. So that's how they multiply it. So say, for example, let's just take Bitcoin. And this is not financial advice. Take Bitcoin. It's going up 144% per annum on an average. All right, so if you think about that, then if you put money into that, it's going to go up 144% return on your investment. Some people put money into real estate, and it gives on an average about 8%. That's before you have to take everything out, like insurances, maintenance, inflation, taxes, rates, all this stuff, okay? So, now if you think about that, so you got the 4 pieces of the money quadrant. So you got employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. Now, on the left-hand side, 95% of the population's working there. 95%. All right? And then on the right-hand side, there's only 5% of people. And on the left-hand side, there's only 5% of the money where 95% of the people are. And on the right-hand side, there's 95% of the money, right? So which side would you want to be on? And we bring it back full circle. That's exactly why I've gone into the online space, because it's like, man, you can see that there's better opportunity to create more leverage and create a legacy for my family. And I can't do that as an employee or self-employed. I just literally keep hitting the ceiling. You know, you can work and slog your guts out. Like, I know people who are making really good money in, you know, businesses, but they're slaves to their business. There's no like friggin' like time. They have to leave early and they don't get home till late, and they sit up all night on the computer or on the phone, messaging, emailing, invoices, you know, spreadsheets, data entry, the whole lot. So essentially, that's why we've got into this space, into this business, into this, you know, this life. So we're pumped about that. Look at this. It's not my best effort, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. It looks pretty good. Not bad. So yeah, I want to talk to you also about, like, when you're, you know, want to become an entrepreneur, or you already are one, you can relate to this. For those that haven't.
Oi, babe.
What's up, babe?
You got an extra hand?
Hand?
Oh, you're filming.
What do you need me to do?
Oh, no, I was going to get you to put that down, so.
I can take it down.
No, you don't have an extra hand. You'll end up breaking my cup.
This is Ricky.
Hi.
I'm just going to take this basket down. I'm going to wrestle it with one hand. Alright. I've got the basket in one hand. Where away? So yeah, what were we saying? That's right. So the big thing is that I realised is that I always loved doing stuff that was really progressing me forward. And the stuff that I was avoiding, the stuff that could really help me systemize and, you know, scale my business, I was always avoiding. And you know what? Did this thing with Paul, my money mentor, not that long ago, and it's called Spiral Dynamics. And with Spiral Dynamics, it's literally like talks into like this thing called your V memes, and the V memes are like different sort of areas of your life. And it's everything from like creativity to, you know, how you abide by the law, and what's your enterprise self like, and tribalism, and all this sort of different things. And I had not the best reading in like my systems and processes and filing and indexing and all that. So since learning this data recently, I was like, oh wow, it makes so much sense. And now I've just been going ham on like systemizing and indexing, and that it's just going to be like the key to, you know, progress and success, and how to like leverage my time back and things like that. But what I was going to explain to you was, with these sorts of things, I would always like want to like do something that felt comfortable and do something that like really feels familiar, because then I'm getting like this reward. Like in my head, I feel like it feels good. But when I was like setting out to do new stuff, like systemizing and filing and indexing and crap like that, the stuff that would actually progress business and scale it, I was avoiding it like the plague. And now I've been sitting in the trenches of it, and for days and days and days, and I'm finally starting to feel good about it. But like, this is a key lesson that I've realized, being a, you know, a third-degree black belt sensei and teaching people martial arts as well. People are always really super duper uncomfortable when they go to do new things, and they almost reject it and then want to run back to something familiar, because where the familiar is, where the comfortable is, that's where people get a reward, which is dopamine, the neurotransmitter, the chemical dopamine, right? So when you're not doing anything that's familiar, there is no reward. So your brain, it instantly goes, something's not right here. I need to retreat away from this. And this is the reason why most people that set out to be entrepreneurs or set out to do new things, or, here's a clear one, the New Year's resolution, they fuck it up after a couple of weeks, even if they get that far. And it's not that they fuck it up. I shouldn't even use that language. They just go back to the old familiar ways. They go back to what's comfortable and what's familiar and what's a frame of reference for them, because they're getting a reward there. And the dopamine in their brain squirts, then that makes them feel comfortable. But when you're doing new stuff and you're going on a new journey where you might not even be able to see the future or the forest between the trees, but your mentors as an entrepreneur, they're further down the track. They're like singing out to you, go left, go right. It's okay to feel like shit. It's normal. It's normal. And you need to normalize the feeling. This is what I realized. Like, normalize the feeling of feeling really uncomfortable about entrepreneurship and business and systems and all this stuff, because it's totally normal. So you have to give those frames of reference new meaning. And if you can do that, for periods of time, long periods of time, after repetition, you'll have epic breakthroughs. You'll be able to go from the next level to the next level to the next level. Just like, when I was a martial artist coming through, I still am a martial artist, but when I was started as a white belt, I was like, freaking hell, I want to get to black belt. That's my goal. My goal is black belt. But I had to go through each and every single rank to get there. It's not like I could just put on a black belt and go, yeah, I'm a black belt now. Like, what the hell would that even mean? Nothing, right? But when you can put a black belt around your waist, like this one. Black belt is somewhere. When I can put that black belt around my waist, I know that I earned it to the 3rd degree level, sensei rank. All right? If I had to put that same black belt on without doing the work, what would it even mean? I wouldn't have the skill development. I wouldn't have the nuances, the understanding. Wouldn't have the concepts, the principles, the mythology, the stories. All right? It's old looking, isn't it? All frayed and stuff. That's my name in Japanese on there. And it's another story for another time. I'd love to share it with you about when I first started in martial arts and the state that I was in going into the dojo. But the whole part and parcel of the story, everything I want to share with you today is literally around, family and health and business and where we're at right now and why we've gone on into the online space, purely to have more freedom. Yes, it's going to take some work up front, a lot of work up front, to actually develop things and skills to be able to do that, to create this leverage. And then when I mean leverage, it's like leverage of your time and your space. Because if you're running off to give your time away for money, when do you have time for anybody else or the things that you love, right? So if you can systemize things to have the leverage, to be able to have the time and space to learn and read and explore the things that mean something to you, well then that's ideal, right? But you need to go from that left-hand side of the money quadrant to the right-hand side in order to do that. Otherwise, it will never freaking happen. Unless you hit the lottery. Here's a funny story. My old man, he always wanted to hit the lottery. We're going to win the lottery, son. I'm going to win the lottery. Okay? So anyway, the cheeky bastard, he hits the lottery, right? He hits the lottery and he hits it, but he gets second place, 10 grand. Oh, freaking hell, Dad. You're going to have to be a bit more specific when you're praying. When you're calling it in from the universe. So to wrap this call up, been a challenging week having to put our dog down or let the pound put him down. Been sitting in the trenches doing the uncomfortable things to get the uncommon results. And, there's still the lingering worries of the tree being chopped down if we can't work something out with these freaking crows. If you've got any ideas, please comment and DM us about it. I just don't want to chop down my beautiful red gum tree. I love it. And yeah, my little girl, she's gotten heaps better. Rolled out of bed twice, but I'm so glad she's getting so strong and healthy. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, guys, just wanted to do some shares. I've got so much stuff I want to share with you. Some really raw stuff, some authentic stuff, some stuff from the past that would just, you'd think, holy crap, is this even the same person? And stay tuned for that. Next week is going to be an absolute firecracker. I'll talk to you soon. Bye from me.